You're listening to the Coach Hodge and Bank Show on the Coaching Culture in Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Sit back and enjoy the show. The views and opinions discussed in this podcast aren't necessarily the opinion of the host or Coach Hodge and Bank Show on the Coaching and Culture Athletics Network.
Saturday, August 31st, this might be, in fact, one of the most exciting times of the year because we get to look back at so many sporting action that's taking place, this, that, and the other. So sit back and enjoy the show today. It's just me. Coach Banks. I had a lot of first-time experiences in many years, on Football Friday night, and it was exciting. It was exciting to smell the hot dogs in the air, everybody's wanting walking tacos, this, that, and the other, I was kind of a spectator. I was on Radio Keokuk there for about, I want to say, throughout the second quarter of the Fort Madison Bloodhound Central Lee Hawks Week 1 football non-district game, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, taking the time there with Ben Osdahl, Ryan, and Kyle has to go to the restroom occasionally, so I have to check that. And what was fun is I was up there. I was just emblazoned in the game. It's been a while. It's been about 3 years since I was upstairs in a booth watching the game of football. That I love and hold so dear. And it brought back a lot of memories. With me kind of radiating down. My thoughts and this and that with defense, offense. To Coach Bob Bryant. To Coach Derek Merck. That would then have to relate that to Coach Randy Hoffman, and sometimes he didn't listen, sometimes he did, but you know what, I hope that Coach Hoffman listens to the show because, it's one of those things, and I might even throw in some Hoffamisms, if it's even entirely possible, this week. I'm going to bring up Twitter, I'm going to bring up the whole 9 yards. We're going to take a look at Week 1 here, that's now in the books for Iowa football. A lot of my friends in Texas, I think they're going on like Week 2 or something like that. So this is just pretty awesome. I do see a lot of my buddies on Twitter right now. They're retweeting stuff. Coach Swanson had his very first dose of Iowa football tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. We're going to have Coach's Corner, and we're going to have several coaches from around the area. Coach Hodges, I'm excited to have him back. He and I will bring back that Hodge and Bank show, which is on the CCA network, here probably in a few weeks. So you're going to want to sit back and take a look at that. Coach Swanson retweeted my retweet, so you know what? I'm going to read it. It's just the way it is. Mature athletes need to be able to hear the hard truth, but the message of hard truths will most likely be lost if you don't care enough to be invested in the life beyond athletics. I have to spit that out. Trust wins. That's pretty important. Two of my, there were actually the whole Football Friday night that I experienced Friday night was truly amazing because I have a lot of friends on both sides. Coach Doherty, he'll be joining us tomorrow night on Coach's Corner as well. Congratulations, man, on your very first head coaching football experience and getting the win. 17-0 against my Hawks. They're still going to be my Hawks, even though I'm not coaching this year. And the thing is watching this game. There were a lot of questions for both squads, and it was a great game. It was 7-0. They marched right down. With behind that running game that Fort Madison has, and they score 7-0. The Hawks, they didn't give up, and it was exciting to see all the big guys, David, smashing up the middle, Zach. And you know what? I'm going to give a lot of credit to the O-line, D-line, because I'm kind of one of those coaches that likes that. Both sides, whether you're a Bloodhound or whether you're a Hawk, played extremely well. So The sky's the limit. This is not going to be one of those years, Hawks, where you're going to have to circle the wagons and get nervous, because you got a lot to be thankful for in this game. There were a lot of wins within the loss that you're going to be able to take through and break down game film. And if I know Coach Arrett, he's breaking down game film right now. Tucker, all those guys are breaking down game film. So is Doherty. I think Coach Doherty and the Fort Madison Bloodhounds have this week West Burlington Notre Dame that will play the Hawks the week after that at our homecoming. So there's going to be a lot of telltale signs there to take a look. I'm also not going to leave out Keokuk. Keokuk had a big win last night against Davis County, and I got to see Keokuk in Central Lee play in the scrimmage a couple weeks back, and those teams were pretty close. So, Lee County football, folks, is alive and well, and I believe that. But here's the hard told truths, that you need to take from this. Athletes on both sides, good job, man. It was fun to watch. Did you make a mistake or two? Absolutely. We're going to do that. We're human beings. Take this as kind of your beginning of your map, and map out your season, see where you want to go, and go there. Don't ever for a second think that you're going to go into a contest and you're not good enough to win, whatever. I'm going to bring back a Hoffmanism here. He says, you know what? These kids, they all wake up, their heart beats, and just as sure as the morning or as the sun will rise tomorrow, they're going to get up. They're going to dust off. They're going to get excited. They're probably going to look at their technology, this, that, and the other. They probably didn't get a good night's sleep. They're taking care of themselves, and they're going to get ready to go another week. They put on their pants. They put on their shoes just like anybody else, and this goes for all sports. Not just football, but we're going to concentrate on football today because this is kind of the CCA Week 1 at a glance. I don't even know whether I have anybody listening, to be perfectly honest, but that's okay. If you're listening, be sure to shoot in a comment, in the Spreaker chat, this, that, and the other. I did share to Facebook. This show will not be live, where you can see me and see my face, all that sort of stuff, because Saturday mornings, as a teacher, and this week was particularly long because we had a full week. I haven't shaved. I just got out of the shower and mowed the grass, this, that, and the other, and we're going to move forward. I do want to send out some thank yous out there because, without these guys, roaming around on Friday nights, we the experience that we have wouldn't be quite as exciting. And, Chris Doerr, KHQA, I had him on the podcast here a few weeks ago. If you have not had a chance to listen to that, go back and listen. This guy goes, nonstop. As soon as football starts, man, he's nonstop all the way through Iowa baseball. And, hats off to Chris. You're doing a great job. I did tag him in a few tweets last night to make sure that he would get the score, this, that, and the other. So I appreciate Chris. There are just so many folks out there, that it's going to be important to share. And Chris is the very first one that I'll share. And, without KHQA, without WGEM, without Radio Keokuk, sometimes it's hard to it's hard to get these things, especially in southeast Iowa. So that's exciting. Chris Faulkner, the Daily Democrat. I'm going to give Chris a special shout out this morning. He actually purchased my book, The Mad Culture Present in Athletics. If you are interested in that sort of thing, hit me up. You can email us at coachingcultureinathletics@gmail.com, or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Twitter is at CCA Culture, and on Facebook we're just Coaching Culture in Athletics. So be sure to follow us. We're more than just a podcast. We're writing books. We're trying to change the culture. We're working on our very first non-exclusive as far as a sport, but we're working on our very first event that's going to be coming up hopefully in the spring of 2020, and we're excited about that. So let's dive in. Let's dive into this football Friday night. That took place on August 30th. A lot of interesting things took place. First, let's start with this. The Central Lee Fort Madison game. I'm going to go through that at the end. And, for obvious reasons, because I was there. Friday night, saw Keokuk down Davis County 26-7. If I know Davis County's probably licking their wounds a little bit. Keokuk is a very improved, solid football team. And if you had a chance again to watch the scrimmage, centrally, guys, don't hang your heads, coaches, players, community, whatever, because you got a shot. Do you have a tough road? First 3 weeks are brutal. The Fort Madison, that gave us a yardstick, and you were right in that ball game. Next week, I think the Hawks play Mediapolis. Then the week after is Mount Pleasant, and then homecoming with West Burlington, Notre Dame. So first 3 weeks are rather tough. Keokuk, you know what? I'm going to give an open invitation to get Keokuk's head football coach on the podcast, but you're going to have to hit me up, sir. That's pretty exciting. Down District 6, 3A football. Knoxville knocked off Fairfield. That one was interesting. Mount Pleasant defeated Clear Creek Amana 42-20. Mount Pleasant's got a pretty solid football team as well. It's going to be exciting watching them. I'm probably going to try to catch a few games here and there with that. Solon downed Mount Vernon 35-7, and Washington got Marion 27-6. You look at District 6; it's pretty solid. But however, if I know Coach Doherty, I know he's excited. And Keokuk's excited as well. This is going to be a wide open district. I'm going to guess that Solon is the clear favorite. Going into the week one. Washington's always good, but you know what? Keokuk, Fort Madison's got a shot. They're going to take a look at that. I'm going to go. I'm looking through here, so I apologize. If I sound like I'm rambling, because I am a bit, right? I'm going to go to District 9. And the reason I'm going to District 9 is because Coach Garrison Carter, former Big Red, he's coached, I've had him on the podcast as well. So be sure you check back on the podcast, check him out. Had a tough loss, looked like on Friday night against Bondurant, but Bondurant Farrar must be the real deal, because Garrison's got that culture, tied up in the right direction. Bondurant got ADM 28-21. That was probably a pretty exciting game. You look through District 9, that baby is pretty tough as well. But the old favorites, Harlan, Lewis Central, Glenwood, Winterset, all those teams are in there. And one score that really surprised me, and is Creston Orient Maxburg beat Sheraton 42-0 in District 9 Class 3A action. That's interesting. Knowing Sheraton's pretty doggone tough. Now let's go into 2A, because that's where the Hawks are at. That's where I've coached in the past as well. I do want to send out prayers and well wishes, and also I want to give props to the pitch there in Centerville, Iowa. I believe it was Gage Carson that went down in that game, and they had an extended period where they had to bring the ambulance on. They had to put him on, the stretcher, this and that. Prayers and thoughts go out to Gage Carson and your family. We're praying for you in Southeast Iowa as well. For a quick recovery. From what I've heard, it was a pretty high hit. Centerville played Albia. Albia Centerville is kind of like Centerville Pella. It's one of those things where those school districts, that's a huge rivalry game, and I'm sure it was extra and amped up. But Centerville ended up beating Albia at Albia 51-12. It's exciting to follow the pitch. Mike O'Connor, the mayor of Centerville, Russ W. Oker, Chad Kestner, A.J. Anderson, that's my godson, is actually, a big part of the pitch, and I want to give them a special shout out. I appreciate you guys doing that, because it allows me to watch, multiple games at once when I'm not on the Radio Keokuk, and special shout out to Radio Keokuk as well. So, Albie is in our district, the Centrally Hawk district, and we'll look at that district here in just a few moments. A lot of blowouts, a few low-scoring games. I'm just going through here to kind of look at the usual suspects, this, that, and the other. Comanche in District 5 2A. Comanche defeats Northeast Goose Lake 41-7. Meepo defeats West Burlington Notre Dame 46-7. That'll be interesting. And you know what? A good yardstick for that for Coach Doherty next week as he goes into West Burlington, and as Central Lee goes into Mediapolis. That's going to be a tight game. Mediapolis is the real deal, but I think Central Lee Hawks, if you're listening, battle through, guys, because this is not a game that you can't compete, and I think it's important to compete each and every week. District 5, a little bit more. Solon defeated Mount Vernon 35-7. Tipton beat North Cedar 34-0. Wapello got Louisa Muscatine 26-12. And West Branch got West Liberty 28-6. District 6, again, Centerville got Albia 51-12. Eddyville Blakesburg Fremont defeats East Marshall LeGrand 24-20. You know, Eddyville Blakesburg was a question mark. I did not. I underestimated them, but from what I hear from Centerville's head coach, as he does on the pitch, so I'm stealing a little bit out there. They got a young quarterback that's pretty good, so that was an interesting score to say the least. Grinnell got Mid Prairie Wellman 47-20. I do not have a staple when it comes to Grinnell, so. Central Lee does play Mid Prairie Wellman a little bit later in the year. Keokuk again got Davis County 26-7. That's a big win for Keokuk and the Chiefs as you move forward. Williamsburg got West Marshall State Center 14-7. I know West Marshall's pretty good. I think probably Williamsburg is the team to beat in the District 6, but it's obviously a little bit early to tell. When it comes to that aspect. Let's see, going through here, District 8, a lot of these teams, Central Lee played, back, a few years back. Atlantic got Sadell 49-13, Centerville 51-12. Clark of Osceola, this is surprising, even if it is Martinsdale St. Mary's. Martinsdale St. Mary's is no slouch when it comes to Iowa football. Clark got Martinsdale 50-35. That's interesting. This district is now wide open, in my opinion. Sheraton getting beat pretty bad against Creston is a surprise. Des Moines Christian, wow, 78-0 against West Central Stewart. This district is wide open. And PCM, what can I say about PCM other than I had to coach against them 4 straight years, and man, were they good. State champ a few years back, or what was that last year? I can't remember it. It was probably last year. They got Newton 29-28, and that's a non-district game. This one's interesting. I think PCM Monroe, Des Moines Christian, Centerville, Clark. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin when it comes to that type of a district. I do want to find Coach Kozarich's team here. Man, it's tough to go through these scores, but we will find it. There it is. Panorama Panora 25, Edmond Fort Dodge nothing. So Coach Kozarich is in the winners circle this week. Coach Koz, I believe, is also going to be on Coaching Corner tomorrow night. That's a pretty good win. And, he's got it rolling in the right direction up that way. Going into 4A, and the reason I go into 4A is because I have several friends and former athletes that are currently coaching. Ottumwa defeated Burlington 47-21. I know Coach Bunnell is probably he's in it. He's watching a lot of game film right now. Ottumwa's a surprise in my opinion. Brett Kinsler, former Big Red, is coaching up in Ottumwa, working with the O-line. He's got that rolling in the right direction. So that is exciting. That's exciting stuff for those guys. Let's see. I'm going to check Twitter to make sure that no one is, and I don't even know whether anybody's listening, this morning or not. But let's go with the game of the week this week, which is Fort Madison Central Lee, Coach Doherty and Coach Arrett. And that game ended up 17-0. Props though, the way the Hawks played. You guys got to keep your heads up, because it was smash mouth football all the way. And again, I have to give props to Doherty too. These are great guys. They're good friends. It's a great staple. To see where your program's headed. Wow. It's all I got to say. There were a few passes. Bullock. You got to keep your head up, buddy, because it was close a few times. I know there's one you'd like to get back. That might have changed the whole complexion of the ball game, bounced in and out of the hands. There were a couple of times, Fort Madison Bloodhounds were also open. So, you guys clean that up. You guys are going to be pretty good. I also, Evan Porn, quarterback for the Hawks, he looked pretty solid after, the first series. And, he got that train rolling a little bit. So that's, they got a few things to work on, and boom, they're both of those teams are going to be pretty good. But I tell you what, going into the fourth quarter, the Hawks were down 7-0. I was impressed by both defenses, and then the wheels fell off a little bit, and I know Coach Arrett and Coach Swanson, Coach Bryant, Tuck, they'll be working this week, trying to clean up things for week 2. Looking ahead at week 2, let's see, and I want to make sure that I find, okay, week 2, you got Centerville at Davis County, and that is also a pennant game. That'll be interesting to see how Centerville bounces back. Again, prayers to Gage Carson. Central Lee is at Mediapolis. That's going to be a tough game, but that's not this is an interesting matchup. I can see a similar game. I know Meepo's got some speed, but I know Central Lee, they're going to bring their sticks and they're going to work hard there. Eddyville Blakesburg is at Pleasantville. Pekin is at Mid Prairie Wellman, and Williamsburg is at Epworth Western Dubuque. And I know Western Dubuque is a good, solid team, so that's going to be interesting to look at. Looking ahead to District 8, Clark of Osceola is going to go to Nottoway Valley, Knoxville at Sadell, Madrid at Des Moines Christian, and West Marshall State Center at PCM Monroe. Let's see. I wanna see where Panorama's at this week because I'm following Coach Kosrich. Panorama is at Manson Northwest Webster. I don't even know where that school district is located. District 6, 3A District 6, Burlington at Keokuk. That'll be an interesting matchup. That's really going to tell the tale. If Keokuk's really turned the corner. That should be an interesting game there. That should be a wide open and a fairly close game. Clear Creek Amana is at Fairfield. That's another pretty decent ball game. Fort Madison at West Burlington. Oskaloosa at Washington. Pella at Mount Pleasant. That might be a pretty doggone good game. So who knows? Maybe Pella at Mount Pleasant will be the game of the week next week. And then West Liberty at Solon. I also want to take a look at my 4A brothers and sisters. Let's see. Digging through here. Oh, boy. Sometimes it's hard to find Ottumwa. I guess I should be more prepared when it comes to this. All right, Marshalltown is at Ottumwa. Marshalltown, I know, is much improved. That's going to be a tough task for Ottumwa, but we'll see what happens there. Lots of interesting things coming up. It's a great time of year, especially if you're a sports fan. Now, this is also goes for the parents, the community, this, that, and the other. Understand that the sun will come up tomorrow. Understand that after a tough loss, love is can conquer all when it comes to that stuff. Don't coach your kids. After a game, don't. There's a lot of don'ts here. I did hear a lot of parents coaching from the stands on both sides. That I found that interesting. Let's see. Yelling at officials, that doesn't do any good. Build your culture, folks, and take a hard look. These men and women that put on the stripes, or these men and women that go out and coach kids every day. You got to give them props, but also coaches and officials give props to those parents. That's going to be pretty important. Last thing, everybody knows that I'm a Cubs fan, and everybody in Lee County is like a Cardinals fan. So it's getting pretty interesting, pretty exciting. The Cards are up on the Cubs by 1 game. Both those teams are starting to solidify who they are. And, today I see the Cardinals are beating the Reds. Doggone it. I know there's a few people in Lee County be excited about that. And the Cubs got the Brewers at 120. So that's all I got. There's a lot of college football, this, that, and the other. That's my thoughts for the week. Try to get better, guys. Watch game film. Come back and listen to us tomorrow night on CCA. Coach's Corner, I believe this is number 3. We're going to have several coaches from around the area, so that's going to be an exciting time. 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. To all my Texas, friends that are coaches out there, and coaches, throughout the country that I've been able to meet on this beautiful thing called Twitter. Lots of love this week. Remember, guys and gals, coaches, you make a difference. You absolutely make a difference. And, one little positive task is going to change a life forever. I'm going to finish on this thought. Create a life where you are so busy making a difference, you don't have time to sit and dwell and compare yourself with others. Follow me on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. And, follow us for this ride, because it's going to be an amazing ride, heading forward with coaching, culture, and athletics. If you have not gotten your book yet, I have them available, or I can order them if I run out. It's called The Mad Culture Present in Athletics. For everybody within the CCA, good afternoon, and have a wonderful day. Make a difference, folks. We'll talk to you all soon.